PokéMen's Health, our very first time streaming live on YouTube, and maybe we're gonna make this a thing. We will see. Very happy to be here with my guy Torian, aka Sticky. Torian, what's good, bro?
What's going on, Roy? Very happy to be back, man. I had a lot of fun on the first episode. So when you hit me, when you know DM'd me and was like, "Hey, what you think about coming back?" I was head over heels, super excited to be back, and super excited to be talking to you. Long time no see, man.
Yeah, dude, it's been a minute. I'm super glad to be back with you. And yeah, let's just hop into this thing. So, as always, I'd love to ask the guests just to tell the folks a little bit about themselves. And let's just start there. So, assuming nobody heard our first episode, which is episode 33, a sticky situation. I don't know what I'm called this one now, but this live is called a stickier situation. Just for now, we
I
got to
love it.
go there.
I love it. I love it.
So what's of course, bro. So let us know what is like what do you do for a living? How old are you and where are you from?
Gotcha. My name's Torion. I also go by Sticky in the community. That was just username I always had as a kid, and I just put it on my limitless, and that's just how it stuck. So that's just how it is. I like the name, but my real name's Torian. I go by TJ. I go by Sticky. Doesn't really matter to me. I am 25. I'll be 26 in like 2 weeks now. I'll be 26 then. That's an experience. Getting on the other side of 25 is definitely something that I'm getting prepared for. That's a new type of life, right? And right now I play a lot of Pokemon. I work in the community with organizing tournaments, and I do judging at my local shop. Excuse me, next to me for TCG and VGC and Pokemon Go. And I work a small time job at a pizza place on the side.
Hey, let's get it, bro. Dude, were you judging and stuff when we chatted last time? It was probably
So I
like earlier this year.
Yeah, so I was doing online judging, and I did have my judge certificate through the Pokemon company, but I wasn't doing any actually in person. Um, at that point in time, I was only going to maybe one or two shops playing VGC. The shops weren't really needing judges. It was just nice to have the judge certificate. I had TOs that were saying, it'd always be nice if one of my judges would like to take the day off. So I was always like, I don't mind having it. I do it for online tournaments anyways. It's just a,
Yeah.
a, a nice thing to have on my resume, I guess, to say like, hey, I'm a Pokemon professor. So I went ahead and made that official, and then within the last couple months, I've started going to a new shop next to me that is starting to grow their scene really big, and they've been taking on a lot at once as far as TCG, VGC, Go. We're hosting pocket tournaments now. Um, they
Wow.
also they also partake in all the other games as well as and also like Smash Bros. They have a really big venue, so they have an opportunity to do a lot. Um, so me and the TO have been working with them a lot as and trying to help keep it going. It is really nice for me. It's My shops usually are like a good 45-minute drive for me in Texas. Everything's space far apart down here. We got traffic.
Yeah.
It's just how it goes.
Yeah.
Uh, so it's really nice to have this shop that's about 15 minutes from me. We've cultivated a really good environment, and it's not just for a single game. If I want to play, I've played VGC and TCG there now, so it has been nice I just to have that shop in that center is like this is where I can come to play and unwind.
That's what's up, bro. And I think so not I think I know we met in the VGC scene and I saw you and maybe I didn't notice it before, but I saw you seem to lean a little bit more into the TCG side of things. At least, since we last chatted. Were you always into TCG or did you just start moving in that direction, just adding it in a little extra for fun and then you started to rock and roll a little bit more?
Yeah, yeah, I really feel like that second thing is it. It wasn't. I was never against the TCG. I always held off from it because I was learning VGC, and I was always like, look, I can't put another thing on my plate right now. There's so much going on with VGC. As soon as you start adding in mechanic, I was like, I don't even know my type chart in VGC right now. Like, don't don't put another thing into the game. So that's always that was always a concern of mine. But I was never against the TCG. I just feel like once the season was wrapping up, this last VGC season was wrapping up, Worlds was starting. I just kind of felt like I could take a break. There wasn't really anything to do. VGC felt pretty stagnant as far as we were all just waiting for another regulation at that
Yeah.
point. Nobody was really playing. It didn't really feel like people were innovating. It was just like, look, I've had these 6 months for weeks now, and that's what I'm going to play. And I was cool
Oh
with
yeah.
that. I was like, it would be nice to just try something new. So I linked with linked up with one of my friends, Krebs VGC, who I had no clue originally that they were a local for me. I had known them through the Twitter space. I had met them in person through through the Twitter space as well. I had given them a visitor's pass to NAIC 2 years ago. Their roommate was unable to get into NAIC, but was driving that with them. And so I had got an extra spectator pass on top of my player pass. So I gave them the spectator pass, and that's how we respectfully met. And then like we kept bumping to each other down the line until one day I showed up to a local, and I was like, "Bro, where do you live?" He's like, "I live here," and I'm like, "That's 30 minutes from me." I was like, "Why have I not known that you live so close to me?" S-
Yes.
Uh, so they uh brought me into the TCG by just like throwing a deck at me. They basically just gave me a deck and was like, "Will you play this with me and just try this out?"
Oh
And
yeah.
it only took the one game for me. I don't know what it is. That cardboard, those play. Hey, the VGC, the TCG players say it all the time. That cardboard is different, man. I don't
Yeah.
know. It took over on me, but I do really enjoy the scene. Um, Not to talk down on VGC at all, because that's where my roots are at. I've met a lot of longtime friends and people I would consider family through VGC. And I still play VGC casually. I mean, like in my Discord server, all my boys still they still make fun of me and we still chop it up. I'll help them team build. I'll mess around. I play cart ladder all the time. Like
Oh yeah.
I'll still go to Master Ball and cart ladder just to be like, ah, I still got it. I still got it. I can still push these buttons. But for the most part, I've been really headstrong into TCG. I've been able to pick it up pretty quickly and I've had a really good supporting group for it. Not that I didn't have one in VGC, but TCG, I just feel like the way that you the way that you can kind of support each other is a little bit different. Uh,
Hmm.
I do feel like because deck lister with TCG, deck lists are open, so there's nothing to hide. Everything's out in the open.
Got it.
We have open team sheets in VGC, but we don't have open spreads. You know what I'm
Totally.
saying? So like that is a barrier you have to cross when you get into VGC is getting into that community where you can just, hey, I don't mind saying my spread because I'm not worried about you speed creeping me or this and that. Like that's just like a it cultivates this type of
You got to keep some
way that
stuff in your chest.
it cultivates this way that we communicate to each other that just feels a little bit different than it has with TCG. So I've really enjoyed TCG. It kind of just started out with league play for me. VGC in my area doesn't really have league play, so there's not really a night where you can just go play for fun. I guess in quotations,
Mm.
hey, I can just go pay $10 tonight and play for fun, and like all those guys are there to have fun. And guess what? Some people are going to show up and play stuff that's not really optimal, but they're also there to have fun. In that kind of environment, we don't have that for VGC down here. It's a lot of we have challenges every other week, once a week. You show up to the challenge, you play at the challenge, y'all shake hands. You may go get a drink afterwards, then go home. There's not
Yeah.
really a like meeting every week, getting to physically get the in-person practice and without the stress behind it has been really nice. I mean, I still put a lot of stress on myself, and that's just like internally. But as far as externally being at the event, there's not really any real stress. There's not anything to lose. Everybody's there to have a good time, and we're all there to help. And also, it's a better practice environment as far as you can talk through things with your opponent while it's happening in live action and not be
Ah,
stuck behind a timer.
Totally.
Where like in VGC, you're like, look, I know you want to talk about this, but I have 30 seconds to click a button, and I will have to talk about this afterwards. When you're practicing or playing in these friendlies at TCG, you can stop the game right there. Hey man, what would you just like? What is that play? And
Yeah.
if they want to talk about it, like, not everybody wants to talk about it, but still though, like, it gives the environment to, like, hey, let's, like, what can you help me, bro? Like, what would you even do here? Like, I've it's just feels a little bit different for me. It's been really nice. Definitely don't want to take anything away from VGC. It's just the nature of their game, the nature of the beast.
Yeah.
Um, and just like we talked about before, just the whole aspect that VGC has on your mental health, just
Hmm.
it's a lot of it's it's a lot. It's a lot. And I've been able to step away from that almost with TCG because I went at it with just such a friendly mindset. I have been casually getting a little bit more and more competitive as I've gone, but I, I've been able to find myself to separate from the wins and losses at times. Um, where in VGC, it, it, it would eat at you a little bit. It would eat at you a little bit. And I don't know. A lot of my friends, we laugh about it. I'm like, yeah, well, TCG is just, you can just blame your deck a little bit more. and like and in VGC, you can't really just be like, yeah, these 6 mons are bad, because then you're
The
just like,
ass.
yeah, you're like, no, you're telling me Sneasler's bad? You're telling me
Yep.
Urshifu's bad? No, you are
Hmm.
losing with bad mons. But it's just like, sometimes in TCG it really happens, like true RNG fashion, where you play down a card and have nothing else turn one and have to pass. And the next turn, they just swing, and your whole game ends in 4 minutes. And it feels really bad, but it's that separation of going, there is physically nothing I could have done.
Totally.
I couldn't have played better. I couldn't have like I couldn't have shuffled my deck better. Like,
Hmm.
there's nothing that I could have done to change the outcome of that game. Move on. And
Feel
I
like
could,
there's like
yeah.
like the card RNG is just different than video
Mhm.
game. It's a whatever internal calculator doing whatever it does with its percentages. Like you got
Mhm.
what, the coin flip RNG and you got the shuffling RNG. That's about it, right?
Yeah,
Right?
yeah, 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 and everything is countable, right? At the end of the day, all that's countable. Like,
Yeah.
you can't you when the Pokemon game says, "Hey, dire call, sleep, and crit right here," you couldn't count that. You can't count
Hmm.
that. You didn't, like, there's nothing you can
Yeah,
do.
formulate it.
So yeah, so it's
Mhm.
just exactly. So that's just been healthier on on just my mindset, and I think because of it, I've been able to pick the game up pretty quickly. So that's just been fun. I haven't been, like I said, super competitive in it. I've played mostly at my local shop, just leagues, during the week, which has been nice. I can just request off a Wednesday every week for my job, which is just a free day essentially, and then I can go play Pokemon. That's been really nice in my at home life, as far as me with my girlfriend, us living together. We've been trying to, this is our second year living together now. We're still like working out, how do we adequately spend time with each other and it be meaningful? How do we get navigate through our own responsibilities? All the stuff that just comes with being an adult. And so having the schedule for her of saying, hey, every week I need you to let me know what's more convenient for us on Tuesday or Wednesday. Should I go play Pokemon?
Yeah.
And that's been really nice. Not only is it not set in stone, but the flexibility of going, ah, man, we had dinner on Tuesday, but you know what? Wednesday, I'm just gonna go after work if you don't mind. And it's never a big deal. And even this week, I can say that I played on Tuesday and had a really bad day. I was having a bad day before I went to go play Pokemon, and she thought it would be a good idea for me just to go try to burn some steam off. And I hit all the bad RNG, like, back to back,
Mm.
do 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 do. And I was able to mentally say, this is enough for me. And I got up. We were supposed to play 4 rounds. I got up on round two, and I was like, if I play another game, that may be the snapping point for me. I just got up and
Yeah.
I went home. I made dinner. I went to sleep. I got up in the morning, and she was like, I think you should go play today. I was like, I already went my once this week, and she was like, You've been going once a week. I think we can afford you go again. Like, if, I think that's what you need. Like, go play again."
Yeah.
So I went to work and went home, got dressed, went to the tournament. I didn't drop a single game, and I went 4-0 and won the whole thing. And
Beautiful.
so yeah, so it's like that has been super. It's just been, it's made my life easier in so many different ways. I don't. It's funny, just like, hey, I switched from playing a video game to a card game, but
Mhm.
it's just like, me personally, it's substantially made my life easier. Just with the flexibility, the uh, the flexibility and the access
Oh,
that I
yeah.
have playing TCG.
I love, damn, I love so much. I love the support you and your girl have for each other. I think we talked about that last time a good deal, and it's super cool and super dope that you went back and ran the fucking table.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think
and
that obviously, yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, yeah, I ran the table, and then I took my you get pack. We got some packs for winning, and I was like, I'm gonna take them home to her. And I first pack she pulls a $50 card right out the first pack, and I was like,
Hey,
literally, you couldn't write this on a storybook. I was like, literally, it's. I was like I was like, I was salty because I was like, I should have pulled that card, but whatever. Like,
yes, yeah,
but whatever. It was storybook, so yeah. Sorry.
the gift, dude, the gift. That's fucking dope. That's so dope. You just think so differently in the card game. Also, it's just a different switch in the brain. I think, which is pretty nice. I've been dabbling a little bit, dabbling, just
Mhm,
a little bit of fun here and there. One of my favorite parts about what you said though was the league aspect. And if VG leagues are a thing, I don't know about them. I only know about challenges and cups,
mhm, mhm,
and maybe I don't know something about having space, something about the Switch, something about how popular it is, something about nobody wanting to come facilitate or whatever the hell they got to do. But
mhm,
we definitely have VG leagues or TCG leagues.
mhm.
It feels like at least once a week, and maybe
Yeah,
even
I mean,
multiple nights.
in my area, you can go Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Only day you can't play league is on Monday where I live. If I really wanted to,
Jeez.
I could play any of those days.
That's crazy, bro. That's so
Yeah,
cool. It's so fucking
yeah,
dope.
yeah.
And there's a different opportunity, though, as you kind of getting that. There's a different opportunity for community there, because VG, we go, we play, shake hands, get the fuck out of there. Some people are gonna go find the next tour of their fucking grinding CP that might be
Mhm.
happening that day, and they can get there. And you really don't. We got a good community, but you don't get that same amount of time you get if you're there hanging out multiple times a week. That's
Yeah,
awesome. That's super dope.
yeah, it's definitely really nice, and I've been really appreciative about the card game. I've met a lot of good people. I mean, just like VGC, I've met a lot of good people just being able to talk and hang out. We hang out. I may go every Wednesday night, and we hang out from like 6 to 9. It's like 3 hours of my day
Mhm.
once a week. And it's really nice. It's and the there's just so many other aspects of the card game that I just don't feel like you get with the video game, even down to like the way I practice just feels different. It feels healthier uh, as far as the way I can accept it, the way I go at it. Um, a- a- and you can practicing. I've practiced against myself a lot in the card game, which is funny to say.
Mhm.
I was like trying to figure out how to say those words correctly, but like yeah, I have the luxury of having two decks, so I could
Yeah.
play two decks against myself if I want to. Or like my friend Zoe has showed me, like they call it goldfishing, where I just in my head I'm saying I'm gonna play against this matchup, and I'm gonna play out the first 3 turns, 2 turns, just by myself. Just
Mhm.
hey, do pass, do, and and that's just been really healthy for me.
Mhm.
I don't think that has anything to do with VGC, like in the way the game's played, or that being what game is better, what game is healthier. I just think for me personally, that's helped me understand a lot because I feel like I have to see it and I have to experience it for me to truly learn it. You can tell me it, and yes, I hear you, and yes, I'll say it, and I may like you may I may just repeat whatever you tell me to do, and I'll do it perfectly, and I don't really understand why I'm doing it, but I know how to follow instructions.
Yeah.
Versus like in TCG, I'm starting to understand why. And that's helped me a lot because I've gone back and played VGC and just looked at the board state completely differently now. Like, oh wow, wow,
Mm.
I was really doing that when I was playing TC like VGC. That's crazy. Y'all letting me get away with that? Like, who? Why were y'all telling me? Like, so many different like so give and take. Definitely, playing both of the games has showed me different pros and cons and giving me different aspects to look at. But I definitely have fallen in love with the card game. It's been a journey the last couple of months picking it up, and I'm excited. San Antonio, man, it's been a while. San Antonio will be my first regional or first major event since NAIC.
Okay.
So yeah, so it's felt like a long time now. I mean, I've had the uh, I've been, fortunate enough to travel a lot the year before and do so much. This year, I kind of took the season to, get myself back together, and I fell in love with TCG and just didn't want to rush myself into trying to play at any majors.
Yeah.
I get a bunch of, just like VGC, these TCG players have been playing since before they were even before some of these VGC players. These TCG players have been holding cards since they could imagine, and so
Yes.
sometimes it's crazy. Like I thought VGC players run deep, like the bloodline of some of these the old school VGC players run deep, but these TCG players are like, bro, I've been playing the card game since 2001.
Yes. That's from fucking they were
like,
kids. It's
I'm like,
always been that accessible.
yeah, I'm
It's
like,
always been
what?
that accessible.
Yeah, yeah, access exactly. So it's just like,
Mm.
wow. So I'm excited to see where my practice is going to take me in January at San Antonio, but that's definitely something that I'm not holding myself to too much. Uh, I haven't put any goals of myself yet that I feel like I have to obtain. I really think I'm just like I treated my first VGC regional. I think being in the environment, getting through the full day, playing all your games, and taking it all in is going to be the most
Yeah.
important thing if I want to continue to play this game. Because I
Beautiful, bro.
can't really expect myself to just go in January and be contending for a day 2 spot. Realistically, it's probably not gonna happen.
Yeah.
Um, so let's not beat a dead horse and then stress myself out afterwards when realistically I could have a different mindset and I could go 5-3 and say, "You know what? I was just 1 or 2 wins from going to day 2 at my first regional. That's really good."
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. That's dope, dude. It sounds like you're having some success getting started, though, which is super encouraging. I've seen you have success at VGC as well, which is also super encouraging. So just keep doing what you're doing. You got a great mindset. Sounds like you got a great group around you, and I'm sure it will only go well. And whether that's wins and losses, whatever, well, like you're gonna have a good ass time. You're gonna learn. You're gonna keep growing, and I'd love to see it, bro. What deck are you running?
It's it's jumped around a little bit. I think that's part of the beauty with the TCG is I found myself as a person to be more flexible versus
Mm,
in the VGC, it was trick room or die. And a lot of times when I was trying to play other stuff, I wasn't allowing myself to play it because all I was thinking about was how different it was from trick room. I wasn't really
mm,
just like a-
mm.
allowing myself to be like, this is what I'm playing, play it. The whole time I'm like, man, why am I having to do this on turn one? I want to press follow me, yada 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 yada. Like
Mhm.
not just like I was just being hard headed and unfortunately, that's just the case with that game. That's just how I am with that game. I
Yeah.
love what I do. But in the card game, I've been a lot more flexible, and I have 5 or 6 decks, and I've had success with 2 different decks, Lugia and Raging Bolt. Uh, I
Got it.
got I got my first league win and my first points at a TCG challenge with Raging Bolt, and I've picked up another one with Lugia as well. and my first deck that I started with was Lost Box
Mm,
because of NAIC. NAIC last year is what really put the curiosity in my head. Was watching Stefan Ivanov and Andrew Hitchcliff play. That
nice.
was, I mean, we were in the front row, and I had never seen TCG in person like that. Like at every regional, I'd always just skipped it, and this time they made me sit down and watch it. And my heart was the pounding in my heart before
It's a great
VGC
game.
started. It was a great game, and I went home and bought the deck. It was like I want to play this, and I sucked at it, and I should not have been playing it. But it was the drive. They're like, I want to play that. So it's been fun. I've been jumping around a little bit. My style has kind of been the same. I am very just like the VGC. I like to play very linear decks, a lot of very explosive linear decks. I like to pop off on
Yeah,
I like to pop off and I like to make you outplay me. Um,
beautiful.
but I've been able to dabble with other things in more balance, I guess, style stuff that I wouldn't have done in the video game. I've forced myself to do with a card
Mm,
game, and that's definitely been healthier. And I wish I had this type of mindset when I first started VGC, but I just feel like I got some bad habits that gotta be broken out in that game if I want to get over the hump that I think.
beautiful, bro. Beautiful. You think, well, let's hear this. You played a little Reg H. How do you like Reg H?
It's
Say no
it's
more.
it's it's interesting. I want to say like yeah, you can whine and complain about it, but I feel like every regulation we've had in Scarlet Violet, besides Regulation A, we complain about. The only gripe we've had with what
Mhm.
we had with Regulation A was that it wasn't long enough,
Yep.
and then everything else we've had specific issues with, whether it's two specific mons or a team of a specific six. So I mean, I think that's also just the nature of VGC, the way the game, the way the meta centralizes sometimes can feel uh it sometimes can break the barrier of feeling like it's a true rock paper scissors matchup, and sometimes
Mm,
it just feels like there's the top of the food chain, and
totally.
when they fight against each other, there's specific RNG that has to happen for them to to beat each other.
Yeah,
Versus in the TCG game, you kind of see that circle of like this deck beats this deck, beats this deck, beats this deck,
got it.
and um, I've enjoyed it. I've played a little bit of it. Still mostly Trick Room stuff. Mm, haven't messed with. I haven't played with Jump Bluff. I'm still loyal to my Lilligant, so I've only been playing Lilligant when I played it. I went to a local out of town and played VGC, funny enough. And I went like 6 for 6 on sleep powders when I was there, and everybody was like, "Bro, what is happening?" Drake, Dragapults are just like Dragon Darts sleep, and they're just like, "Bro, there's no way." And I was like, "Look,
Hey,
man,
son.
I was like, I have a back catalog of RNG saved up. I've been waiting for this moment.
He finally cashes in.
Yeah, but I'm still playing with my old stuff. I think it's cool. I'm excited to see, we have Sacramento coming up. I'm excited to see how all of my friends do out there with their Reg H stuff. But
Oh, yeah.
uh, I think Reg H has evolved. It's been very interesting to see the evolution of the meta and to see where we came from and what our original thoughts were, how it was going to go, to seeing Charizard take a international title. So
Oh my God.
you know,
Insane.
not too long ago, we saw Charizard. I remember shout out Jin for he brought. He's a
Yeah.
hard tricking player who my guy.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Look, that's my
Love
guy.
him.
Yeah, love him. That's my guy. He was my the first person I ever played against in VGC. When I went to Orlando, he was my round one competitor, and we played a mirror match. And afterwards, he tapped me on the shoulder and was just like, he just basically like put me on game. So I have a lot of respect for Jin.
Yeah.
He was just like, this is what happens during the day. Play all your matches, bro. I see it in you. You play the game like you should play the game. It's your first day. Have fun. gave me his social information. I've been close with Jen since then. That's my guy. But
Yeah.
he played Charizard with Hard Trick Room not too long ago, and people were just like,
Louisville,
boo. People were just like
right?
not, yeah, it wasn't respected. And then out of
Yeah.
nowhere, it's an international champion. So that's the evolution has been totally interesting. The Sneasler Urshifu argument is hilarious to watch from a side spin player's perspective because I'm like, I killed both of them, so I don't care. Uh,
I'm good.
I was like, I like both of them being the meta because expanding force one shots both of them. So as long as it's not Urshifu Dark, I don't care, man.
I'm good.
But
So,
I'm more excited. I'll be excited to see how people adapt Reg G. I think Reg H is kind of. I think Marco said it the best. He broke the meta. It's done.
yeah.
I think Marco broke the meta. Um, I think I think every team is going to be taking to beat that team,
Wow.
and I could be wrong. Don't play the game anymore. That's just from my perspective. It just seems like
Mhm.
the Marco team, the Marco Six is just so strong that we're in that situation now where that's probably the so-called in question best deck, best team and format,
Mhm.
and there's just a lot of teams underneath it that either have n- nice techs to beat it, or they accept they lose to that matchup and they beat everything else.
Yeah.
Yeah, which
It's that
I mean,
point.
yeah, I feel like so because we're almost done. Like it's almost Reg G time again. It's
Yeah.
almost Cali Shadow back from the grave.
I'm
It's
ready for
about
that.
it's about
Let's
to be
go.
that time again.
Mhm. Dope, dope. Um, yeah, I just wanted to get your perspective. We don't get the transition, but also dabbles in the other games still very much. I haven't gotten it very much, and yeah, dude, there's a good little TCG stuff to mostly talk to VGC players. So getting to talk some TCG sounds nice, definitely tantalizing. I know I was waiting for the Charizard Deluxe thing that just came out, so have that as a base to start try to build the Charizard deck. But
That's
I'm looking
really
forward to that.
that's really I think that's really good. I think that's a really neat thing. About the TCG is that it is very encouraging to get people into the game. And I've noticed uh, going to TCG and introducing myself as a VGC player, a lot of players are just immediately off put by like even like, hey, you don't play like no 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 I've never touched VGC, like it's too much and I'm good, like I don't, that's like a lot of players have immediately off putting, and there's some players that are like, oh, I'd be super interested to know, and then you start really yapping, you start giving them
Yeah.
like multi-step calcs, and they're like, I really like being able to just count six energies and and like and swing. I'm like,
That's
listen,
it. That's all you gotta do.
I'm like, I don't blame you. That's why I'm playing TCG now. But it's a different monster, and like I don't think either one has any merit over the other. I think both of them are their own beast in their own way, and the top players for a reason in their fields. Um,
Man,
but it's very interesting. It's just very interesting to see we all come from the same space essentially, but how different the two spaces are is really interesting to me.
absolutely. Beautiful dog. We talked last time, and you even mentioned it a little bit, just like the effect on the mental of the two different games, TCG being a little bit better for you. Last time we chatted, you were kind of developing a new relationship with your anxiety that you deal with, and I was wondering how that journey has been going for you.
So still working on that. Definitely, growing and still trying to build on that. I think recently I probably could be doing a better job taking care of myself as a whole, as an individual. But I think that I just have a lot of outside stress right now trying to find my new career path.
Mm.
A lot of self-implemented stress as far as like the voice in my head, you're about to be on the other side of 25. I just left what I thought was going to be my full-time career because I made that decision that it wasn't the best for me and it wasn't healthy for me to be there. but now I don't know where I'm gonna go. Do I start school again as at this, not that I'm too old to start school. There's been plenty of people start school older than me, but like, to make that step of like, am I gonna start school again? Am I gonna go to trade school? Like where do I go? I think that's just been uh a lot of outside stress and outside of the game as far as what I play and I've just been working through that, man. That's a lot. Sorry to pause. I'm just thinking about all that. That's just a lot. There's been a lot to work through. I didn't think I would be here in this situation, but I also didn't think that a year ago that I would have the strength to leave the job that I felt like was causing me so much pain. So, there's a coin flip to that, and you know, I I wouldn't change my decision at all. I don't think my significant other would change the decision that she had to support me leaving that job at all.
Yeah.
Uh, I just think that it's I signed up for the journey and it's just been a little tough, but I'm gonna figure it out and I haven't given up. And we're just in a rough, I'm in that time of the year where I kind of just have to wait it out until next year. This is not really the hiring season. It's the time to just
Yeah.
kind of do your thing. So, I just kind of have to put my head down and say I'm gonna push through it, and there's gonna be something on the other side.
Mhm.
And so that's been a thing, and I gotta. That's just been a whole thing. Obviously, the I leave the career, so I don't have all my same benefits anymore. Um, and so I had access to free uh like mental health before through my job before. So now I don't have that access anymore.
Got you.
I'm trying to find that in different ways. I recently just started couples therapy with my significant other, and we've been working through a lot of stuff together, a lot of like, talking about our childhood traumas and what they could do to affect each other in the house. And, we've been trying to grow over that. Not that it was getting to a point where it was like ugly or we were leaving each other, but we just both acknowledged that, we are high school sweethearts. I've known her since I got out of high school. I've been with my girlfriend now for we've 5 years. Yeah, so it's just been a long time now, but we there's still so much to learn about each other, and when you've been with each other for that long already, you kind of feel like you know everything until you realize you don't, right? Until you
Yeah.
have until you have that hour-long conversation, in the therapy room, and you're like, "What?" You're like, "Huh?" So yeah, so it's definitely been an experience. It's been something to grow on. I know before in the past I talked about how adamant I was against not getting it for myself as an individual as far as one-on-one therapy with myself.
Mm.
But I have been my girlfriend has been very supportive and also has been, patting me on the back in quotations, but I've pat myself on the back as far as not missing any of these sessions, trying to be I definitely don't. Sometimes even my therapist is like, do we need to stop because you just look uncomfortable? And I'm like, I'm always gonna look uncomfortable, but I'm trying. I promise you I'm
Oh,
trying.
yeah.
I was like, so that's definitely something to just acknowledge. Like, I know I'm I may not have the best face on, and I may look a little bit uncomfortable, but
Mm.
I'm communicating, I'm trying, and I'm being proactive, and I'm engaging. Um, so I'm definitely proud of myself for that. It's a baby step, and maybe later on, 5 or 6 sessions down, that comes down to maybe I get one for myself and I just do one-on-one, or maybe I feel like I got enough out of just doing the couples therapy, but I haven't put any of that pressure or like, you need to find the next thing after this. I've just been kind of taking it one session at a time and trying to
Yeah.
honestly just trying to get through it. 'Cause right now it's still at that phase where I'm just like after 10 minutes I'm like I'm ready to get up. And so yeah, I'm pushing through that, and I'm trying to slowly and hopefully get back on a normal schedule with my medicine, um and get back on some healthcare so I can start getting my medicine in at a regular pace again.
Mm. Just acknowledging Zen. Thanks for the comment that a lot of us in the same boat. And It's so true. Like just the difficulty to um be in the system. I'm unsure what your last job was, but being in the system, we know this thing ain't working for us, but well, the bills, the groceries, the roof over my head, this physical or mental health situation I'm dealing with has me shackled to this fucking thing. And that's a great way to stay unwell, you know? And it fucking sucks. So kudos to you for
Thank you.
saying, I'm getting out of this fucking thing and gonna find another way. And as soon as you like realize like you didn't have the support, right? And it may affect the medication deal, whatever. Yeah, you didn't have the support that you had, you replaced it with something, couples therapy, which is also so powerful and be so good for you and your partner, however long you do it, like can completely transform the relationship. It doesn't sound like there was like necessarily a need, but you guys are aware of the reality of it. But you guys met when you were kids and you guys are
Yeah.
still
Yeah, and
growing and
we
changing.
both come we both come from divorced households. So it's just one of those things where,
Mm,
we're both headstrong. We don't want to be what our parents, we want to be better than our parents. Your parents always want you to be better than them at the end of the day.
yeah.
And I don't want to be, 3 or 4 times divorced at the
Mm,
age of 40. And so we're definitely trying to do it correctly as far as we're still I catch myself all the time saying fiance or girlfriend or significant other because there's just no title on it. Like
yeah.
that is my love, and we're figuring it out. And whenever we want to put a government title on it, we'll put a government title on it. But like neither one of us feel rushed because it already feels like we're together. We've been together. I mean, like we've been sharing the same bank account, the same bills, the same life, the same family for long enough now that it doesn't I don't need somebody to say like that's on paper that's your wife. Like we'll get to that when we both feel like we're at that stage in our lives to get to that.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And taking care of each other better than some people who get the motherfucking title.
Yeah, yeah,
You know
exactly.
what
So
I'm
it's just
saying?
exactly. So it's just like if that's the cherry on top. Like if this cultivates into let's make this set in stone, which obviously that's what everybody wants at the end of the day, then that's where we get to. But if as not right now, like we're doing a good job of taking care of each other, and that's
Oh, yeah.
that's all you want to do today.
That's what's up, dude. And I also just loved you acknowledging like guys do the therapy, do what you got to do to get support. A lot of the times it has to do with talking, and it just ain't comfortable. It's just not comfortable. And try.
Yeah,
And from what you said before to what you're saying today, like just night and day, that you've been willing to just try and just go with it. Like we think we got to be sitting down with our face big happy times when we're talking about this hard ass shit, or like nice and cozy, like you're talking about Pokemon when you're talking about some hard ass shit, and
yeah.
that's just not the case. So for you to lean into that discomfort, just want to show you big love for that, man. Big respect for that, and just a
Thank
great
you.
example for everyone. Like lean into the discomfort because at the end of the day, it is for your benefit. It might suck right now, but at the end of the day, you're gonna get something out of that. And that's
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
beautiful, done.
Thank you, thank you.
Course. And wanted to talk a little bit because last episode you showed some big love to your mom, and I believe you used the word softness, and I love using the word softness for it because as men we're told that this whole world that we got to be hard, we got to be tough, and like hard and tough looks a certain way. Um, and a man who is soft is implied to lack that ability to be tough, be strong, be steadfast. And I of course don't believe that shit, right? And you mentioned this ability to be soft and loving and caring, uh, kind of attributed that to the raising that you had, the rearing that you had, mostly with your mother. Is that my understanding,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
100%.
and I just wanted to like talk to you just about that a little bit more. And my experience with how I've learned all this stuff is in men's groups. And our parent relationships were like just way up there. Like really important that we like discuss those with the group in the first place as a place of like, here's how I get to know this person, what he's really coming from. And I was just really curious how you would describe just your relationship with your mom, just like so people can have like an idea of what someone like you came from, because you're just killing me with how impressed I am with your
Uh,
ability to just reflect and be loving and all that. So I just would love to hear a little bit about that relationship with your mom.
I do really appreciate that. I have to give her props. I don't think I can't. It's definitely not uh all flowers, and it's definitely not all sugar
Of
coated as far
course,
as what
of
my
course.
childhood was. And it wasn't and even entirely my mother's fault. She did an amazing job being a single mother and being a I mean, I was a teen. I mean, I was a teenager. She was a teenager when she had me at that point too. So being
Mhm.
a teenager, a single mother, and doing everything she did, I can only see the struggles and you know the hardships from my perspective. I can't even imagine what the internal ones were, as far as that goes. So I I came from a great background. My mother was amazing to us. She always did what she needed to, um, and by any means necessary, whether it was uh, um, Christmas toys, birthday, uh, sporting events, sleepovers. Uh,
Yeah,
like my mom was there to the fullest of effects to whatever she needed to do, whatever she could and she needed to do. And I do think me being the oldest, was a little bit of she's figuring things out. I was a little bit of an experiment as far as
yeah,
quotations. I'm the first child. There's a lot of things that she picked up. I'm sure that she picked up from me being a kid that she didn't, that changed when my brother was a kid. So
yeah,
not that we were both kids at the same time, but when I was a teenager, I'm sure that she handled the way that my brother's a teenager a little bit differently going through me after dealing with me, like yada yada yada. So I think that through most of my childhood, me and my mom had a really good relationship. I wouldn't say it's any worse now, but we were really good relationship. Uh, Talk to her mostly about everything. I would say getting into high school, you get into a teenager, you start dealing with hormones, you get through that. I think I started to deal with some definitely could have been diagnosed depression at the time that I wasn't aware of, and definitely made me a lot more secluded into my high school days. And it didn't really help that at the time, my mom's husband at the time, I just didn't get along with him at any like we just couldn't find a place to agree at. There's just every point we could butt heads, I would butt heads with him. So that also definitely added on to some of the seclusion as far as, I just want to be in my room, or I don't want to be at home, or I don't even want to look at him. I don't want to deal with him. But that never really changed how me and my mom were. Like there's never been a time where I've raised my voice and called my mom out a name, or, yelled
yeah.
at her crazy like that. It's never gotten to that. It's just like, yeah, I don't mess with him. So I'm gonna walk away. And I'm
Mhm.
sorry. And so uh that, and I think like anybody else, my mom's a human being, and like my mom has OCD and probably ADHD, and it's definitely my mom definitely had uh, diagnosed depression that she thinks like was passed down to me in some form or sorts, however it was. Like it's been something that's just me and her. She just sees a lot of herself in me as far as the way I've grown up and the way my feelings have kind of developed. So uh, she taught me a lot, and I like I said, she taught me everything I know about love, because I didn't get that from anything. I don't have a big family. I have an aunt, an uncle, and my mom, and like a godmother, and a couple other things scattered around. Like I don't have a big family, but like my mom was always the center of everything. and all of my best memories as a kid are with my mom. And going into my adulthood, I think that something that I want to do better of is getting back to that, because like we don't, like I said, no, I've never, me and my mom don't have a relationship where like right now we yell at each other or we're that is disdain for each other. But
Yeah.
I I'm not at the point right now in my life where I pick up the phone and call my mom every day.
Yeah.
And I feel like I know in part in me, I feel like that's wrong, and I feel like I need to talk to her more often. But all these years, I don't really feel like I'm ready. I just don't feel like
Mhm.
I don't feel like I'm ready to tell her. Like I feel like the last 3 or 4 years, I could talk to my mom again, if that makes sense. Because I just feel like I've been all over the place, and I've been just trying to figure out myself, and I don't. I feel like I'm not necessarily proud enough of the man I am right now to, I guess,
Mm.
reintroduce myself to my mom as a grown man. Just
Yeah.
we went through so much as me being a kid and dealing with the single parenthood, then me not liking me not wanting to deal with my stepfather, and um, we got into a pretty nasty argument over just like, my mom wanted to keep my mom's OCD, and she likes to keep her house a certain way, and I was respectful to that until up until the point where I'm a 19-year-old man, and I'm going to work, and I'm a manager, and I'm telling 30-year-olds what to do, and I'm coming home, and my mom's like, "You need to get them dirty clothes off your floor." I'm like, that's the last thing on my mind right now. I just got off an 8-hour shift. Like, I don't
Yeah.
care about them dirty clothes. So that boiled over into one day I just came home and I just left. Like I came
Mm.
she was yelling at me over text messages, and was like ruining my whole day, and I didn't even respond. I just let her keep texting, and I went home, and I walked right past her, and I grabbed my puppy, and I grabbed all the stuff that I could carry, and I put it in the back of my friend's car, and I left. Um,
Mm.
and I think that had a really big impact on where our relationship stands nowadays. I still think there's a lot of stuff that hasn't been healed from that day, that hasn't
Yeah.
been discussed from that day. But I, yeah, that was a big moment in my life. Being freshly 19, I was 18, didn't really have anything going for me besides a fast food job, and I just was, I just needed my space. I was already like 18. I was 19. I was sharing a room with my like 14, 16-year-old brother at the time. So I didn't even have my own space as far as like I'm going to work and then just coming home to a room that I share. It was just like already a lot going on for me. And so I just decided I just couldn't do it anymore. And I didn't want it to be ugly and nasty. I didn't want it to be the whole like "f you," I'm not da da da. I just didn't say anything. I just I just packed my stuff and I left.
Yeah.
And I just texted her, I said, "I love you," and that was it. And so I definitely think that that's something that is a like that's on my list of um if I could do it better, or if I could redo it. Um
Mm.
I would definitely I don't think I would change the outcome, but I think I would have done it better. I think I had a lot of I had a lot in my heart that just wasn't solved, and just felt um I felt I've like a lot of my life I felt like sometimes I come off as so nice I get pushed under the rug, and that's like one of my pet peeves. It's just
Yeah.
to feel pushed to the side and unheard, and that just was something that I was feeling at the time being in my house. So that's definitely I I always talk in high regards of my mother, so there will never be a time you catch me slipping. But I will say that, even someone who has the best relationship with their like a really good relationship with their mom, there's still stuff that I need to work on. And there's still stuff that me and her could work on. Um
Yeah.
and I'm trying. I'm every day, there's a lot. You gotta take it one day at a time. When you get to it when you're there. And holiday seasons are nice. Everybody always comes back together during the holiday seasons. There's no disdain there. I'm like, super excited to see my mom on Thanksgiving. She's gonna have the best fucking, excuse my French. She's gonna have the best cheesecake the best cheesecake. I was my brain was already who that cheesecake every year is my favorite. So
The
you know, every
cheesecake.
every time I see my mom, you see me smiling. Every time I see my mom, it's we don't we me and my mom can interact like that day never happened. It can and but I it's one of those things as an older man now. I'm starting to see the impact it kind of had on me and her relationship, and there's just some things that I would like to fix before it's too late because uh, I had the experience of dealing with a lot of loss in my life as a child, um, as far as losing both my grandmothers
Mm,
before I was even like 16.
yeah.
Those being two very impactful women in my life. I've only had women in my life, and so losing the top of the food chain essentially, that early, had a lot of impact on me. But I want to fix and I want to do better. My mother and her mother um, had the same type of relationship where they loved each other to death, but my mom hated my mom was just a little bit of a problem child, and then she also didn't like her step parents. so
Yeah.
so it's funny to be like the history repeats itself with the oldest child, and I know my mom slaps herself on the back because she's like, I cannot believe I'm watching this. I watched that happen, but essentially it's the same thing. And I know that towards the end of my grandmother's life, that was something that my mom. I know that was something my mom was mindful of, was that she probably wish she had just taken a little bit more time to appreciate her being around. And I love my mom, and I wouldn't trade her for anything. I wouldn't trade her for anything. But we all got our problems and we all got our hardships. But family's family at the end of the day, and we love each other for who we are, and we're all figuring it out.
Yeah, dude. I love that so much, so much. Thank you. I think that can be, maybe it wasn't right now for you, maybe it was. This They can be one of those things that's really hard to talk about. There's pain there. There is, like you said, there's that lack of access to the softness that you'd like to, at the very least, probably approach your mother with. And I don't blame you for what you did, especially at that age. You're trying to make it in the world, and you're doing a damn good job at it. At this thing that's supposed to be real important to you, your job, right? You're doing a damn good job, and she's telling you to pick up your fucking whatever off the floor, and it's just like, let me do this thing and expand. And you probably need it to get out of there for the sake of your relationship, to even be what it is right now. And maybe that's not the case, but either way, that event left the mark that it's left on you. And you, as a kid still, went out of there in the world, you survived, you had more jobs, you've maintained this awesome relationship, and you are a man who can get on a podcast and talk about the shit. Guys can't even talk about, like, the thing that minorly hurt their feelings last week. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah,
She
understandable.
must be so proud of you. She must be so proud of you.
She all
And
her, my aunt, my sisters, a lot of the important women in my life tuned into the last episode, and they had a lot of high praise to say about you, Roy. So
oh, I appreciate
I
that, dude.
appreciate you. They love the podcast. I think my aunt or my mom ended up listening to another episode randomly because it went next, and she was
Yeah.
just like, I really like what she was really supportive. She liked what you're doing over here, and she really liked to hear me speaking from that perspective. So I appreciate you for this opportunity, and I've really enjoyed uh the your growth over here, man. I mean, like, come on, bro. Like, I don't. I mean, like, I've seen it from like it. It hasn't been that long, and I mean, I remember the first seeing you first time on Twitter, and the like just the impact from now to then, man. Just like I know you had a goal, you set it for yourself. You've been achieving them as you go, man. And I gotta give my praise, where they deserve to be, man. I appreciate you, and this is a really good spot, man. I'm sure everybody else who tunes into this feels the same way. Because this is my therapy. I get it like every couple months, man. I come over here, I talk to
Hey,
Roy, I spit it out, and then I feel better at the end of it. So I've enjoyed this. This is like you said, this is a baby step for me. This is something that that comfortability of slowly being able to talk to you more and tell you more things that I'm just like, man, that's just been on my mind. That eventually may lead me to be able to talk to somebody else in person. So
Uh,
that is that access and opportunity is huge, Roy. Thank you.
Appreciate you, bro, and just know there's always opportunity for you here. Put it out on the Twitter. December 9th, we're doing another little sharing circle. Come there. If you want to just hit me up in the DMs and say, bro, you got a little time, I got you, man. Just that expression about your mom. I hope that there's some level of healing there, some level of practice there that you can have to have that conversation. I'll tell you that I had such a conversation with my mom, and my mom was a menace. Like we had just a really rough time, just abusive upbringing, and just the other day, it was just over fucking text, and I'm like wanting to like tear up a little bit about it, but she's like, since that conversation, and we took this was like a 3 hour long conversation about like, hey, like you did this, you hurt me, like why? And she told me just everything about her, and just to be able to see our parents as someone who did their best wherever they were hurting us, and even, not it's not perfect now. And there's things that she still does that upsets me and reminds me of how she was when I was a child, but it's not the same though. And I see her trying, and I was able to say just like fuck, like that's my mom. I told her that, like, I'm proud of you and your ability to try, and that's my mom. And like the healing just keeps going, and it starts with these little conversations, bro. So whenever you need to share, it doesn't have to be about this, but whenever you need to share, just know that I am here to listen, and I really appreciate you popping on again, brother.
Thank you, Roy. Thank you, brother.
And that said, folks, thank you for tuning in. If you tuned in, listen to this on Spotify, watching this on YouTube in the future, appreciate the likes, the subscribes, the shares, and making sure you do whatever you can to get this to a guy who might need it. Appreciate you guys for joining us, and talk soon.
Thank you.
Mhm. And then it's done.
Yeah,
Bro.
that was
Uh,
awesome, man. That
yeah,
was
dude.
awesome, brother.
Yeah, shit. They can hear our little gabs at the end, but I appreciate you joining me, man. I appreciate you
Thank you.
joining me.
Thank you, brother. Thank you.
Shit, maybe we'll do a round three at some
Hey,
point.
anytime, man. I love it up here, man. Please don't stop, man. Keep
Mhm.
keep being unapologetically being you, man. It's good
Mhm.
for this good for this world, man. I appreciate you.
I appreciate you, dude. Well, I'll follow up with you about when it's posted and all that good stuff. And otherwise, man, have a great night.
Have a great night, brother.
Take care.
Take care.